All righty. Okay, folks. So good Tavach, Shavua Tov. This is a remarkable times that we're living in. And that stopped. Okay. Am I live? Folks, can someone help me out over here? Can you tell me if I'm live on YouTube?
I'll check. Let me see.
Thank you.
I see you there, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. How? Seconds. Mid.
The only thing I see is Chava.
You there, yes.
Right.
You're fading in and out.
Great, thank you. I'm trying to pin myself.
Okay.
Yeah, we see you.
Okay.
Out.
Oh, you can go outside if you want.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Andrew, you'll let in. Rabbi, you'll let in.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Okay, so let's begin. So this week's parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu Moses again faces a rebellion. This is during the second year of the journey across the desert. It's Moshe's cousin, Korach, who aspired to be to the priesthood. It happened when Moshe's brother Aaron was appointed to the Kohen Gadol to be the high priest. Korach rebelled. He accuses Moshe of nepotism. That you took leadership position and you gave your brother the high priest. Right. So he recruits 250 people, the most influential people, and challenges Moshe. Right. He challenges as the beginning of this week's Torah portion. And as Moshe says, this is not an assault against me, this is an assault against God. God chose Moshe and Aaron. Right. And Moshe does the best that he can to dissuade them, challenging them to a verification test. And how that test is going to happen, they're going to bring incense on a fire pan, and whoever God chooses, that will be the one that is God's choice. Now, among the rebels is Dasan Va'aviram. They're two brothers from two different mothers, actually. And whenever they could confront Moshe, they did. They did when he was a young man in Egypt, which we'll get back to. And here they were interested in inciting against Moshe's leadership and to create a rebellion. And that's how what the parsha tells us, right? Now, Moshe has dealt with them often, and Moshe is patient. He begs them to pay attention. Trying to squelch the rebellion, he then decides he's going to go and speak to the two of them. And he invites them, let us talk before the flames of rebellion reach to a place that it's too late. That does work. God then it has enough. He's, this is the fourth time Moshe falls on his face to beg for the Jewish people. And even though it's only one man that sinned, Korach and Dasan and Aviram, it's a few people, shouldn't take it out on the entire Jewish people. So that's where we're holding. Then in verse 24, 25, and 26, interesting verses. It says, speak to the congregation and say, God says, withdraw from the dwelling of Korach, Dasan and Aviram. This is going to be for the splitting of the earth. Right? The splitting of the earth, their punishment to those that are involved in the rebellion. So go speak. They will tell the congregation to withdraw. In other words, they shouldn't be near them. And Moshe arose and went to Dasan and Aviram, and the elders of Israel followed him. He spoke to the congregation, saying, please remove yourself from the tents of these wicked men. Do not touch anything of theirs, lest you perish because of their sins. So again, it's a tragic end to this story, as we have mentioned. You can hear the Alter Rebbe's niggin in the background as the chassan is coming to the chuppah. So we're going to have some beautiful background music.
Who's getting married?
Our neighbor, the Alfasi, in synagogue, he sits behind me. He sat there yesterday behind me, the father. His daughter's getting married to a boy from Ottawa. This is an all-Canadian wedding.
Mazel tov.
Only simchas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you stepped away to give class?
I'm at the chuppah, and I'm gonna step away. Yeah. I thought I'd be in between things, not in the middle of the chuppah. That's why I mushed off. If I would have known it was so late, I would have done the 6:30 class. But whatever. God runs the world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Brought us into the wedding.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. So
Jewish time.
yeah, Jewish time, exactly. Jewish time, Hasidic time, my neighbor's time. So the focus is going to be, I'm sorry, I'm not putting up anything on the screen here, but the focus is that God spoke to Moshe and said, go tell the congregation to withdraw from Korach and Dasan and Aviram. Then Moshe arose and went to Dasan and Aviram, and the elders of Israel followed. Then he spoke to the congregation, please remove yourself from the tents, right? Of these wicked people, do not touch anything of theirs, lest you perish in their sins, right? So that's the three passages. If you have a chumash, you can follow and see it inside, right? Now, passage 25, where it says that that he arose and went to Dasan and Aviram, the verse doesn't say why he went, right? Rashi offers an explanation of why he went. So Rashi quotes from the verse, "V'yakam Moshe," that Moshe arose. He arose, and he says he thought they might receive him respectfully, but they did not. Quoting from the Medrash, right? So the Medrash says, quoting the Medrash, the Moshe said, since they did not want to come to meet me before when I invited them to come and meet me, I will go to them. Perhaps this will shame them into repentance. Thus the passage states, and Moshe arose to Dasan and Aviram. So some of the commentators on Rashi want to say that Moshe was on his way to deliver God's message to the people, yet he was reluctant to give up on the rebels and decide to give them a last try. Right? But there's a few questions here that we need to ask. If we look a little deeper. Why can't we just assume that as he was walking by Dasan and Aviram, walking to the tents to warn the people, he was just telling them, going to warn the people. You know, he has to go by where the people are close to them, because if they're close to them, they may get swallowed up in the splitting of the earth. So what's the issue over here? And furthermore, how can we suggest that there's another purpose for him to fulfill over here when God gave him clear instructions? His clear instructions was, go to the congregation and tell them to remove themselves. Why would he go do something different, interrupting from the mission that God gave them? God gives you a mission, you go and do it immediately. You don't go and do something else on the side. So why is Rashi suggesting that there's some kind of mission here? Or the commentators are suggesting there's a mission over here. And furthermore, why did the elders tag along? Where did they come to this? Why did they tag along? So those are our questions. So Rashi, we always have to look for something that's bothering Rashi. And if we look at the words in Rashi, in the verse rather, it says, V'takam Moshe, that Moshe arose. Now that's an unusual term. He rose and went to Dasan and Aviram. What do you mean he went? He arose. First of all, if he was speaking to God, he was probably standing up, not sitting down. So what do you mean he got up? And even if afterwards he was sitting and then got up, why does the verse have to tell us this? This is what's bothering Rashi. And actually, if you look from the verse, what Rashi is coming to explain, he doesn't say that, he quotes from the verse that Moshe got up. He doesn't quote anything else from the verse. In other words, this is what's bothering Rashi. What do you mean he got up? What is the implication in getting up? Right? That's what's bothering Rashi, and that's why the only thing he's quoting from the verse is that. He's not explaining any other thing. So Rashi is basing himself on something that he explained earlier in the book of Genesis. If you remember, when Avram Avinu, Abraham, he purchased the cave of the Machpelah, for the burial of his wife Sarah. So it says, the Yakum stay Ephron, and the field of Ephron arose. The same word, arose. What do you mean it arose? So Rashi says that it was elevated. The word arose means there was an elevation here. It was transferred from the possession of an ordinary person to a king. Abraham being the king. That's what happened. Remember, Rashi expects that we should remember everything we learned before. So since we had this term before, arose, that means we should remember it. We should remember that idea that the term is to suggest that there's coming from the ordinary to the sublime, from a simple person to a kingly person. That's what this verse means, a verse of majesty. And this is what it means also over here. Moshe stepped up, he elevated himself from an ordinary state of his being to a most majestic state as he approached Dasan and Aviram. And this is what the Rebbe explains this week's Sikha. Moshe arose in a manner to experience an elevation and walk like a king, exalted above the nation, to project an aura of majesty and honor, intending to inspire Dasan and Aviram to receive him respectfully. Till now, they did not receive him respectfully. Now, he had hoped that they would receive him respectfully. And that's why the elders followed, because they saw something very unique in Moshe. This was a time of seemingly rebellion, not for Moshe. For Moshe, it wasn't about rebellion. For Moshe, it was about majesty. He's going in the name of God. He's going with majesty. So therefore, the elders saw this, and therefore they followed Moshe because they saw there was something very elevated in his demeanor, right? In a manner of a king, a leader of a nation. He wasn't going as, fighting a cause, which was a very important cause. This is what he had done. And the reason why he did this is actually to persuade Dasan and Aviram that they should stand down their ground, and this would save their lives, because if not, they would perish. His intention wasn't, he had no intent to talk to them. He already gave them an opportunity to talk to them, and they refused. And furthermore, God said, you have a mission to go accomplish, and that's to speak to the people, that they should remove themselves from these people because they're going to perish. So he could not relinquish that task. He had to do that task in a dutiful manner, precisely. But on the way, he goes in such a regal manner that he's hoping that just in seeing his regal appearance, that would humble them, together with the elders who followed, which was naturally they followed, not because he told them to follow, that they would rethink their brazen rebellion and they would do tshuva. Wow. This is what the Rebbe explains in this week's Sikha. So Moshe did not, the Rebbe says, violate the instructions to convey the message that they should remove themselves. Moshe did not go to Dasan and Aviram intending to talk to them about doing repentance, to persuade them in any way. He just hoped by the elevated fashion that he presented himself, that would humble them, that would nullify them enough that they would respond themselves in a respectful manner and on their own do tshuva. This is what he wanted to accomplish, right? That there would be. And even if it was too late, at least the punishment, afterlife, would be somewhat mitigated.
I'll be your MC for tonight. I'd like
It didn't work.
Shabbat, Boston, sing, be out there. Please come up.
It did not work. They were defiant. They spewed hateful words. And it didn't work. But now at least we have an explanation. Reading the Chasane Kala. We'll take a moment. Saw something there? Ooh. So we answer all of our questions. And Moshe headed straight to the tents of Dasan and Abiram to warn the people of the danger that God instructed him to do. He didn't intend to talk to them.
Hayes, the head shliach of Ottawa, for Kriyas HaMichtav to read the Rebbe's letter. Rabbi Hayes, please come up.
Before delivering his message, he merely hoped to have a regal appearance that might inspire them, that would humble them. And the elders weren't instructed to join Moshe, but they saw on their own what's going on over here. And they arrived, the elders,
We'll now begin.
with the elders, and created a majestic aura. Okay, the Rebbe's letter is being read. Unfortunately, this did not work.
Thank you, Rabbi Hayes. Next, I would like to call up Rabbi Roskin. And to be Masada Kedushin. Unfortunately, Rabbi Roskin is not here to read the Rebbe's letter in English, so Rabbi Hayes will continue and read the Rebbe's in English.
Baruch Hashem, Brooklyn, New York, greetings and blessings. In response to your notification that your wedding date has been set, I wish to convey my blessing of Mazel Tov,
Wedding.
when you build a Jewish home, an everlasting edifice on the foundation of Torah Mitzvah, as they are illuminated by the luminary of within Torah, namely the teachings of cities. The blessing of Mazel Tov, as the Rebbe says.
Okay.
And now, we'd like to call up Rabbi Roskin. No, my bad.
Rabbi Banon.
And now, we would like to call Rabbi Banon and Rabbi Levi Shanowitz, Abad of Summerlin, and Rabbi Yossi Dubov to be the A-Day Kiddushin.
Okay. So we have the answers to the Rashi. The Rebbe brings out in this Sikha is something enormous. Dasan and Aviram were the two who, when Moshe had killed the Egyptian, they're the ones who told on him to Pharaoh, and he fled Egypt and went to Midian as a result. Dasan and Aviram are also the ones.
Call up Rabbi Yisrael Shanowitz, Abad of Summerlin, Rabbi Yossi Dubov to be A-Day Kiddushin.
Sorry. Man. When Moshe came to Egypt to redeem the Jews, when he came to redeem the Jews, things got worse for the Jewish people. Things got worse for the Jewish people. Sorry. Dasan and Aviram were the ones who approached him and said, "What do you?" And berated Moshe for what he had done during the plague of darkness. During the manna, they were the ones who went out and looking for more bread on Shabbos by the splitting of the sea, they also rebelled. They had put up such a problem for him, such a defiance, and yet, what does Moshe want to do? All he wants to do is to save them. So the Rebbe says, we must love and help every single Jew. Let's help every single Jew, even those who oppose you. This is his unique greatness and our obligation likewise. It's a mitzvah to love every fellow Jew.
I'd like to call up our Mendel Levitin, the great uncle of the Chassan, to read the Ksuba. Rabbi Mendel Levitin, please come on.
Although it says you have to hate the evil of a person, but the evil of the person is what you hate. You don't hate the person when it comes to a fellow Jew. People will tell you that your actions are who you are. And we judge a person by their actions. And there's a truth to that. But when it comes to a fellow Jew, no, even though their actions may be terrible actions like Dasan and Aviram, nonetheless, when it comes to devotion and a commitment to them, you have to be committed to them above and beyond, even when they are rebelling against us. The Dave Ber of Mezrich, they were told Reb Zusha van Anibal and his brother, the Melech of Lizens, and to the Alter Rebbe, he said to them that they look in the heavenly yeshiva, they look over there that it's a mitzvah to love a fellow Jew, to love an evil Jew as you do a completely righteous Jew. This sounds maybe good on paper, but it sounds a little more difficult. How is in reality you're going to do that? So the answer to that is how we love ourselves. Why do I love myself? If I love myself because of my great accomplishments and because I am, wonderful character, so then I'm going to love people with wonderful accomplishments like mine or with great character like mine. But if I love myself purely because I am a Jew and I love that part in me, the spark that's within me, that spark within me is the same with every single Jew, no difference, no distinction. Therefore, it becomes an unconditional love, as the author explains in chapter 32 of Tanya. This is the way we are obliged to love a fellow Jew. It's difficult. We have to train ourselves. How do we train ourselves to get there? Is what we think about. What I'm special about me, what is unique about me is my neshama. If it's my body and my animal soul that gives vitality to my body, and then what's going to happen? I'm going to love only that which is going to help me in the survival of my body and animal soul. So if you help me physically, emotionally, psychologically, then I'm going to love you because you help me. But that's a conditional love. That's based on the This is at the core on how we can come to love a Jew as we love ourselves. So this next week,
Ronnie, fine. Montreal. First bracha. First two brachas.
Hope you said goodbye. They were like, looking at him. Call it up. What? Yeah, it's really good. It's really flattering. What happens to Zay's phone? I don't know what happens to Zay's phone.
Next, I would like to call up Ryan Daniel Botnick, Zadia Luchasin, recite the bracha, the Yetzer Adam.
What? 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 It's still on.
Next, I would like to call up. Say the fourth bracha.
Just hold to the chuppah, the blessing. Sorry, I was just called to the chuppah to give a blessing. Yeah. So as mentioning, a week today, which tomorrow, a week today is going to be Gimel Tammuz, the third of Tammuz, 31 years.
Next, I would like to call up Rabbi Aaron Davidson, the uncle of Hassan, to recite the fifth bracha.
And, ugh, these seats are all wet. All right. So,
Next,
Yeah.
I'd like to call up Rabbi Tanya Spiegelman, Fetter of the Kala, to say the sixth bracha.
How's your fetter? Okay. Sorry. So the greatness of the Rebbe, great scholar in every area of scholarship, great leader, but it's really a profound love that the Rebbe has for every single Jew. And through that, by the way, caring for every human being. Caring for every human being as a result of that.
Next, I would like to call up Rabbi Baruch Shalom Davidson, the uncle of Hassan, to recite the seventh and final bracha. Rabbi Baruch Shalom Davidson, please come up.
Sorry. And I want to bring out an amazing story. This story is about a rabbi who was not a Chabad Chassid. And in 1946, after losing his entire family in the Holocaust, the Rebbe advised him that he should move to Brazil and to work with Jewish youth over there. He listened to the Rebbe and he went to Brazil. And and then this is before the Rebbe was the Rebbe. Then the Rebbe became Rebbe in 1950. And one of his former students was dating a non-Jewish boy and wanted to marry this boy. And he tried to speak to her about, that what this, that this is not a thing for you to do. Someone who was raised with, Judaism, raised with Jewish teachings and everything. And she fell in love with this guy. And anything he would do to speak to her, she wasn't interested. So he realized, you know what, let me get a blessing from the Rebbe. He called up to New York, to the Rebbe's office. And the Rebbe was on the line, speaking to the secretariat. And so the secretary tell her that there's a Jew in Brooklyn who can't sleep at night because she intends to marry someone who isn't Jewish. I thought that it was a little odd. How's he going to do that? But listen, that's what the Rebbe said to do, so he's going to do it. He comes back to her apartment and to speak to her, and she was like, no way, I don't want to speak to you. Then he realized, okay, let me just say this line. There's a Jew in Brooklyn, New York, who can't sleep at nights because of what you're going to marry someone who's Jewish.
David Cohen, Rikas Kohanim, and any other Kohanim, and Rabbi Levi Tenenbaum to recite Teitelbaum, Rabbi Levi Teitelbaum, recite Rikas Kohanim, sons.
So when he says that to her, he says, who is that you're talking about? He says, do you have a picture of him? He says, no, but I'll get it. He goes back to his home and searches. He finds a picture of the Rebbe. This is in the early 50s. Gets a picture, brings it to her, says, oh my gosh. She turns pale. She says, yes, it's him. I've had in my dreams the whole week that this person is appearing to me in my dreams, imploring me not to abandon my people. And I thought I was conjuring up this image because I was feeling a little guilty. But no, this person is really alive. And the Rebbe, point being very clear, is Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. That the Rebbe cares so much that there's a girl in Brazil that he never met, has no connection with her personally, but he cannot. He has to do everything that he can to keep her amongst the Jewish people. This is the care and the devotion. We are living in unique times. The love and the devotion there is between Jewish people today has never existed in I don't know how many generations in such a massive way. And it's because of this, it's what is giving us the strength. But what's unique over here is what Moshe went with his majesty. He didn't go as a fighter to fight the battle. He went with the majesty of a Jew, of Moshe Rabbeinu. And this is who we are. We have the majesty of the Rebbe, that we go with the Rebbe's strength. That when we're battling evil in the world, we can just go with our majesty. And the Rebbe even said when it came to the conflict in the Middle East, show strength, show your greatness and your majesty, and that will bring a fear and a fright to the people. And and they won't even have to be, this is what he said 40, 50 years ago. Now I think the envelope has been pushed maybe that there will not be even a gun fired, because you show your majesty, you show your greatness, you show who you are, and then it will humble the other. It will humble the enemy. That's what the Rebbe said about Israel and the situation. Now, again, I say that it's gone too far. That's not happening now. We have to fight a real, but we have to do it with the majesty of who we are, not as Moshe went to Dasan Aviram, not even to say anything, just the majesty of the mission that we have as Jews. Mazel tov, mazel tov. All right, folks. We're going to have PRC in 15 minutes, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Wow, we're having TRC?
Yes, 15 minutes.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.
Mazel tov to
Mazel
everybody.
Mazel tov.
Mazel
Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Here, take a look. There's a
We
chassan and
can't see
kala.
anything.
No?
Just some grass.
Just your screen, your
there,
background
there.
screen.
There they are. You see the chassan and kala?
No,
No, it's just your
No.
background screen.
Oh, okay. Maybe like this. Oh, no. You know what? It's not get. I have to get rid of the background screen. I'm sorry.
Mazel tovs.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.